Well, we're going to talk about the time when Joe was born. There's some scary parts to it as well, but a little bit of insight. I get a call. At that time I'm working at Lanham Developmental Center, and my focus, my career at that point was working in psychology and psychiatry, and so with that being said, I was at work and dealing with this stuff, and I get a call from the boss.
I called him because he wasn't due. He was due on the first or second
of December.
A few days late, and I had gone to the bathroom. I was feeling pretty good. I'd gone to the bathroom, and I knew something was wrong. So I was sitting on the toilet, and I decided to get in the mirror and take a look, and I got a little bit nervous, a little scared. So I called Frank home.
Yeah, there's something about a plug or something that had come out. So in any case, I did dash home and to get her. And I know that I went out into the car. That time we had this little Toyota. I mean, it was old, and in fact, Cindy's dad and I changed the motor ourselves. We picked up the motor and actually changed motors just by lifting it off the ground. It was that kind of a small car. And I remember I went out there and I put a towel in the seat, which I'd never done before, but I had this feeling that her water was going to break on the way to the hospital. And so I put a towel in the seat, and sure enough, her water broke on the way to the hospital. But that's not the main story. We had this old car, this little Toyota. It didn't have a boot on the stick shift, okay, because we had changed the motor and stuff. But there was an oil leak that was coming out, and all this smoke was coming out. When the oil was dripping on the motor and stuff, it was coming out through this little boot
into the car. And
Cindy's there, and I'm trying to wave the smoke out. Truly, it looked like the car was on fire as I'm barreling down the freeway, to the hospital. And Mom's got the seat all the way back, and I'm trying to keep the smoke off of her.
So sick with that
and it was coming up out of the car. Now it's kind of funny, Those were the early days when we were struggling, and young couple with kids, and it was an event.
My mom found the car up there. You called my mom?
Yeah, and so when we got to the hospital, I left the car running. I left the car door open. I dashed her in, and the doctor said, "Quick," And so they put a gown on me. I was in with all my kids when they were born, and we had practiced Lamaze, breathing. And she never had any type of anesthesia or anything that, she did everything natural, good or bad. That's what she chose to do with all 6 of our children. But there were complications with Joseph too. And he was such a big baby. When he came out, when they finally weighed him, he was 9 pounds, 2 ounces. But he'd already urinated on the nurse, so he probably weighed more, when he came out.
But the cord was wrapped around his neck.
Yes.
And when he first went in there, he says, "No, you'll be here for a while." He had a few hours. And then he started to leave, and then he turned and looked, goes, "What number baby is this?" I go, 3. He goes, "No, you're going in now." They called him right back, called Dad in, "Get your stuff, your gown." And
yeah, they didn't even have time to do an episiotomy on her.
And he was too big, and he kept saying, "You could do this," and I couldn't. And he was too big.
And then the hard part is she's trying to push him out, and he's not cooperating real well. He didn't want to come out. He's so big, but the cord was wrapped around him, and you could see that he was turning blue.
The doctor saw that and said, "If you don't push him out in the next couple pushes, we're in trouble."
Yeah, and so it was a scary time. And when he came out, he didn't cry right away, and he was blue, when he came out. And that was a scary event for us, and maybe that's why he was peed off. You imagine trying to squeeze out through that.
Seeing that Joseph was born on my mom's birthday, which was a total surprise.
Yeah. The December 5th.
His name was going to be Dustin or Brendan. We just couldn't decide which is the best name.
So we named him Josephine after her mother.
We named him Joseph after my mother, and William after my father,
Josephine.
To commemorate my mom's birthday, which my mom was born on her mother's birthday. I did check the birth certificate, and she was named after her dad, they called him Joseph. So we have a Joseph, a Josephine, and a Joseph.
And so Joseph was born, so he got.
We honored my mother with Joseph. To have a great name.
And his middle name after his father, and the last name after me. kind of a funny part. I did mention that when we got there, I left the car doors open. The car was still running, and it's at least 30 to 40 minutes or so to get to Doctor's Hospital in Montclair, and so, Grandma, when she did arrive, she saw my car out there, running with the doors open, so she dashes over, turns the car off, shuts the doors, going through the emergency room, and she likes to say that she was the first one to hold Joseph. I guess you could say she was the first relative to hold Joseph. It would have taken her a while to get there, and she did drive on her own, which was amazing. But I was actually the first one that held Joseph, and I remember the tears coming to my eyes, when I held him close to me. And the amazing part too is that Joseph's first two children were also born at that same hospital. It's a very small hospital, and there's a very good chance that they were delivered in the same room, possibly, that Joseph was delivered in. I wasn't there with Michelle when, she delivered those kids, so I wouldn't know for sure, but I can tell you that Grandma, she takes pride in the idea that she was the first one to hold Joseph, which is kind of special. In reality, it was me, not even Mama, got to hold him first.